my view, the SEC's job is not to make retail investing more expensive or unpleasant or difficult. In America, adults investing their own money should be free to decide how to do so. Let me turn to cryptocurrency, which together with the blockchain technologies, this is a very, very important and very promising new technology. As you know, cryptocurrencies are actively traded on many platforms. A really important question is whether a cryptocurrency is a security for regulatory purposes under the Howey or some other test. Now, based on your public statements, it's pretty clear that you believe that some are securities, but others are not. So I'm frustrated by the lack of helpful SEC public guidance explaining how you make this distinction. What makes some of them securities while others are not securities? Now, I understand that the SEC staff will privately provide feedback and analysis on whether a cryptocurrency is a security, but why is this analysis private? Why not publicly announce what characteristics make a cryptocurrency a security or not a security? In other words, how do you apply Howey and the Reeves tests to these new products? Why wait to make the SEC's views known only when it swoops in with an enforcement action, in some cases years after the product was launched?
And now for the crypto, because I know that you're all, keenly interested. We just don't have, I believe, enough investor protection in crypto finance, the issuance of these tokens, the trading, and particularly the lending. Frankly, as I've said before, I think it's more like the Wild West. I've asked the SEC staff, working with our fellow regulators, the Commodity and Futures Trading Commission, the bank regulators, the Treasury as well, using our current authorities, how can we best bring investor protection to these markets? I stand willing also to work with this committee and other committees of Congress if you take up any legislative initiatives. And then third, issuer disclosure. You see, since the 1930s, we've had a basic bargain. Investors get to decide what risks they take. That's up to investors. But Congress said that it should be based on full and fair disclosure of the issuers.
I think I know your position, among other things, is that not all cryptocurrencies are inherently securities, right? That's true.
There are a small number that aren't, but I think that, as Chair Clayton said when he was in front of Congress, I think very many of these facts and circumstances are investment contracts.
So some are and some aren't, is basically what you're saying. And I'm concerned that the SEC has not provided sufficient definition and explained how it would apply the Howey test, which I think is the court standard for determining when something is an investment contract. So for instance, stable coins do not have an inherent expectation of profit. They're just linked to the dollar. Now, you might use them in an attempt to make a profit, but that's a second order activity. Is it your view that stable coins themselves can be securities?
I think it's, Senator, they may well be securities. As Thurgood Marshall wrote in the Reeves opinion, in defining the scope of the market that Congress, wished to regulate, Congress painted a broad brush. And it actually included about 35 different things inside the definition of a security in the 33 Act.
I've just got limited time here, so I acknowledge that. Here's my problem, though. I think what you just said was that they may be securities or that some are securities. To me, a stable coin doesn't meet the second prong of the Howey test, that there has to be an expectation of profits from the investment. And so if it doesn't meet the Howey test, it looks to me like it's not a security. Now, maybe you've got a good argument for why some are and some aren't. My whole point is, I think we need to have clarity on this. I think you should publicly disclose this. Apparently, there are private conversations where you work with people who are proposing particular structures and you give them advice, or your staff gives them advice. I just think we ought to have that publicly, and we certainly shouldn't be taking enforcement action against somebody without having first provided that clarity.
Well, Senator, this Congress could change the laws, but the laws that we have right now have a very broad definition of security, including a note, including an investment contract and the like. And my predecessor, Chair Clayton and others, actually put out a lot of guidance with regard to the Howey.
I just got to push back a little bit on that. It is broad, but it's well defined. There is a very specific litany of the instruments that constitute securities. As you know this better than I do. Investment contract is one of them. And there is a court decision that lays out the prongs for what constitutes an investment contract. I'm just saying, as a layman who can read English, when I read those tests, stable coins don't seem to meet that test to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I can misinterpret this, I think others could too. And some clarity, public clarity, I think would be helpful.
I see the red light, but I agree with you that some of these tokens have been deemed to be commodities. Many of them are securities, and the Supreme Court has weighed in a number of times. You noted the Howey test. We've talked about the Reeves test was in the 1990s as well, has weighed in, and I think that there's a fair amount of clarity over the years.